Welcome back. Welcome back to the Vires and Numeris podcast, episode 47. Today's guest is a licensed portfolio manager in the European Union, founder of Quantum Economics at quantumeconomics.io. If you want to check out the website, he's considered one of the industry's top crypto analysts. He's been the guest of numerous television stations, including Bloomberg and CNBC, and advises Lunar Crush and Electronium. Today's guest is Mr. Matty Greenspan. Welcome to the show today, sir.
Thanks a lot for the stirring introduction.
Oh, no problem. You've done a lot in this space. I think I've seen you on some pretty nice list of people in the industry, high up ranks. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
I appreciate you inviting me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I've appreciated a lot of your Twitter insights over the last year or two as well. So it's just good to talk to another person who seems to be pretty rational overall and not too exuberant on any certain project or, just it's nice to talk to somebody who's not a maximalist, I guess, Yeah. But I'm curious, where did you grow up? I don't know if you want to talk about, like, I know that you're pretty public about being in Israel right now, I think. Are you from Israel?
I moved to Israel when I was 12 years old originally. I went back around 2020, went to college for only for a little bit. And then I came back and moved here. All of my 5 brothers and sisters, one by one, also moved back to America. I grew up in Long Beach, California. So pretty nice place. And
Yeah, I just like to get a little background on people. What were you always like? What led you to crypto? Was it just being a curious person, the economic side? I read that you were interested in markets early, so.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, my grandfather, he's a self-made billionaire from rags to riches, and a lot of the stuff about the markets that I know I learned from him, just like dinner table conversations and stuff like that. I was in 2013. I was working in Etoro. I'd been in the financial industry since 2008. I was working in AvaFX back then, and I had front row tickets to the financial crisis and a lot of the speculative side for sure. And then Yoni Assia, the CEO of Etoro, one day sends out an email going, "Hey everybody, this is the advantages of decentralized money." And then I immediately, I fell in love, as somebody who's witnessed the devastation and understood the ramifications. I was just excited that we finally have our own form of money. And I guess, I was a bit early because nobody was really excited about those type of things at that time. Especially before the Big Short came out, nobody really understood what happened.
Right.
They didn't even realize they'd been bamboozled until 2017 when the awakening came, and then by that time I was already at a senior position in Etoro, and I was able to lead their marketing campaign throughout the 2017 bull run. And then I guess, as they say, the rest is history.
Right. So what do you remember, like, the first time that you was it the at Etoro? Was that the first time you heard about Bitcoin then?
Yeah, exactly. And Yoni Assia, the CEO of Etoro, he's my crypto mentor. He gave me my first Bitcoin back when it was $30 a pop. Told me about the Ethereum DAO originally, and then I was able to invest in that. And so that's Etoro was in early 2014, one of the first, I believe, the first broker, trading broker to retail broker to add Bitcoin as a CFD on the platform and make it tradable. And they were one of the first to add Ethereum as well. So they just, they're leaders in this category, and I was just lucky enough to be in the right place, the right time, and have a kind of an open mindset about it.
So you already had a pretty good grasp of like the legacy financial system and the ills of central banking. It sounds like. So was that when you looked at Bitcoin? Did you read the white paper? What was it? What was that moment where you're like was there an initial inclination, or did it click right away, or did you have to come back after a little bit of time and revisit, or it was pretty much right away?
No, it was love at first sight for me because I was obviously at the time, being a financial markets analyst, just the ability to govern our own money. I obviously a very big critic of the Federal Reserve and the money printing system, the fractional reserve system, and everything like that. I had it up to here already. So just the fact that there was something, some alternative in there that we've been waiting for a while. I mean, we saw the videos of Milton Friedman, as far back as 1991 when he was predicting that there would be an international. So we knew it was coming. And I was happy that I was able to witness it, right? Right as it was first coming to public awareness.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. I still don't think have seen that clip of Milton Friedman. That's when he was pretty amazing how he pretty much just laid out the entire like vision of Bitcoin in that little. He didn't get into how it was going to work exactly, but he knew that it was going to be some sort of digital accounting system, basically. Pretty cool. So when did you decide you were going to leave Etoro and shift gears to quantum economics and really make your bones in your own crypto journey?
Sure. So, well, around 2018, I made the decision that I would either, I always throughout my career, personal growth has been very important to me. And I'd always been able to continue advancing, promotions and whatever, either in title or in paycheck, very steadily throughout the years. And I just got to a point in Etoro where it seemed like it started getting extremely difficult, because I was already up there. And the next step was either senior management. And I said, okay, so I'm going for it. I'll either get promoted there or go bust. And I said, I'll take a few risks along the way. And then, so I knew, and obviously I wasn't, very vocal about, wasn't telling people. I knew that I was going to take those risks about a year before I left, and then a few months before I said, okay, this is happening. I started preparing, make sure that all of the, my responsibilities are delegated, like, and everything like that behind the scenes, until I came into Yoni and I said, hey, it's over, man. Thank you very much for a wonderful time, and we left on very good terms. I spoke with him even earlier today about a project that I'm working on, and he really loved it. So certainly we're still on good terms, but I just felt like I had to continue. I had to make that drastic change in order to continue growing. It was a huge risk. I just had my third child, and leaving a steady paycheck, and they paid me very well. I mean, there was no, there wasn't, but there was just a mismatch between what I evaluated myself at, and what, the good salary that they were paying me didn't really cover that gap. And I took the risk, and it paid off in a very big way. Right out the bat, I was able to syndicate some of my writing. I was able to forge partnerships as far as advisory. When I left, not through any fault of my own, but just through, regular, month to month, you always come up a bit short at the end of the month, and then the bank covers it for you. I was basically in a mountain of debt. And now I'm almost all of it paid off. Knock on wood, come completely full circle. So, you
guys have been crushing it. You've already, you guys have been in, I was looking through just all of the different.
Oh boy, it hasn't been updated in forever. Oh
really?
Boy.
Okay. Yeah. There's quite a few though.
Yeah. This is just, this is the sample, I suppose, of 2020, but, we continue with that. 2021, We've been appeared in the news approximately 6,000 times. We'll break 6,000 within the next day or two.
Wow.
That includes television, radio interviews, podcasts like this one, YouTube shows, and a lot of the time journalists come to our team and they ask for specific quotes they're writing on a story that they'll just want to plug in a sentence or two, and we have that kind of down to a science now where they'll come either to me or to our VP of content, and then we figure out who's the most capable to answer about the specific project or event that they're writing about, because like in 2013 the market was small enough that I could just, I was a financial analyst. I just did Bitcoin on the side, right? I just added it to the portfolio of things that I was watching.
Right.
By now, the industry has grown so large that I couldn't, no one person could possibly keep on top of the entire thing. So now we have, on quantum economics, we have experts in every single niche of crypto. So we have, a specific guy whose job is NFTs, two DeFi analysts. We have a director of GameFi research, and somebody in charge of blockchain, somebody who's our chief Bitcoin analyst. So, we can, this is how we just kind of keep on top of the entire industry at once by collective brain power.
Yeah, I really like what you're doing, delegating like that. It's funny. First off, I like Jason Dean. He's great, the chief Bitcoin analyst. And then I had Matty Stats on, Matt Case last week. I'm going to put that one out tomorrow. It took me a little time to edit. I got it done. And then who else? I know like 4 or 5 people on your staff. So I'm a big fan of what you guys are doing. It's funny though when you think about, like, since you've seen this space really mature over the last few years. It's funny. I like to tell people that or talk about it with people that just got here recently. Like, in 2010 or 11, you could read every single article on Bitcoin in like 20 minutes every day. It was like there was almost nothing out there at all. And there could be a few days maybe where I wouldn't see really any new content about Bitcoin because there wasn't much happening yet. There wasn't a lot of development or anything. And now, like you said, you can't cover one project. You can't read all the news on one project anymore. It's like, it's incredible.
I think it was Bernanke who first predicted that would happen, that the industry would someday grow so large that you couldn't cover the entire thing by yourself, and here we are.
It's pretty cool. You're not a maximalist, so let's talk about maximalism a little bit. Let's talk about something a little controversial here. What do you think about Michael Saylor and these guys kind of I kind of feel like they're attacking DeFi. Do you feel that way, or because I think Michael Saylor is obviously a huge benefit to the space. I took time out of my day one day when he got in to message him. I'm just, nobody to him, but I messaged him, said, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing for freedom, for, the future of the world, basically, like one sentence. But I feel like, I don't know, our paths diverging like the original Bitcoiners, and it just feels like, what do you think about that? I kind of feel like with what he's saying about DeFi regulations and stuff, do you agree with all that or what?
I didn't hear what he said at latest about DeFi regulations. I do generally, and my team very much adores Michael Saylor. We think that he's the king of Bitcoin by far. And I did have the opportunity to meet him very briefly in Miami Bitcoin conference. And I asked him about the toxicity because I was a recipient of that toxicity. That day of the Bitcoin conference, I made the mistake on Twitter of calling it a crypto conference. And
I remember that actually. Yeah, I remember that.
The maxis jumped down my throat. The whole thing blew up. It was in headlines on Cointelegraph. And there were people like death threats over that silly I'm like, it is a crypto conference, like, because Bitcoin is a crypto. Like, what do you want from me? Like, you're gonna argue with me over these definitions? And there was just so much beetle-headedness. I think like it's really a brain defect. And I met Max Kaiser that same day. He's like, yeah, these guys, these are my boys. Like,
right.
But Saylor was a lot more chill about it. He said, I don't like it at all. He said, that's not very good. He said, we're all here together. We're building together, and we should work together. And I thought that was really cool of him. But generally speaking, I think that even many of the Bitcoin maxis very much like Peter Schiff, they've realized a long time ago that they're in the wrong rut, but they just can't get out of it.
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
You know, you're getting the engagement, you're getting the, you know, at a certain point on that this is the way the social media machine works. You gotta beat a drum so that people will come and listen.
Right. I was just curious what your take on it was. It was more or less just a series of interviews that I heard him talking, just saying that basically everything but Bitcoin is a security and needs to be regulated is kind of what I get his take as. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be so. I just feel like maybe it's not such a good idea. But I'm super hands off. With the government. I would like to see them stay out as much as possible.
I'm with you on that front as a Milton Friedman libertarian fan. Certainly, I agree with less government, and I do think that the United States is kind of messing things up for themselves in a big way. And I used to be like, you know what, the United States is getting left behind, and even until very recently, I was kind of driving that point home because a lot of projects do choose to go elsewhere. But, and here's the big but. Mm-hmm. The entire DeFi and NFT movement is happening in the United States. It is all the web traffic and everything. All of the indicators are very clear. This is a primarily USA movement, and that's from the user perspective. Who, people are, unfortunately, like the Chinese, have to use a VPN to access large portions of the internet because the government is in the way. And America likes to pretend that they're better than China, but in that regard, it's extremely similar.
Yeah, I agree with you. So what about let's move on to Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey stepped down from Twitter this week, and he right before we got on here, I think you tweeted about it. Actually, I think it might have been you. I saw it, changing the name from Square to Block. Do you think were we right? Is this all inevitable? Like we're just going to see more and more of these guys? We have Zuckerberg with the metaverse, and it just seems like, is everything going to come on chain in your opinion?
Yeah, I was having an interesting conversation also with a journalist from Wired today about this, and I think that the end result here is that the world is moving towards Web3. And there isn't really a way to stop it. The change of Jack Dorsey to Paraga, wherever however it's pronounced, and the change of Square to Block. I mean, these are very kind of minute details along the way. And the point is, and he was asking himself, what can Twitter do to integrate Web3? And the thing is, they don't have much that they can do, right? Because when a company is born as a blockchain company or a blockchain project, we don't like to call them companies, we immediately see the benefits of that, and many projects are choosing nowadays to start out as blockchain natives. Giants like Twitter, like Facebook, and like Reddit, for example, they're all stuck trying to make the transition from traditionally financed companies to Web 3.0. And that transition is incredibly difficult to make. So, for example, I was on a Twitter space with the AMC crowd, the AMC Ape squad, and they're great people, but they're worried about naked shorting in the market, where people are shorting more shares than there actually are, and they're crying foul. Well, if AMC was a blockchain company, there would never be any question about it, right?
Right.
And then somebody came in and proposed that they do an airdrop to every shareholder, right? To kind of like, and to me, that was like somebody trying to transition into blockchain company, right? But you can't. It's because the technicalities of how do you know who's holding the shares? If you knew who was holding the shares to begin with, you wouldn't need to airdrop them because you'd already know, right? So
Right.
These type of things, I think that, if you ask me to speculate which is going to be the easiest company to transition to Web 3.0 is going to be Reddit. And the reason is because, they already have, the avatar thing. They already have, awards that you can purchase and give to people. They already have a pilot with Moon cryptocurrency, which is based on Ethereum, running for several months now. So for me, that they're gonna kill it in Web 3.0. And even though all of the conversations about crypto is happening on Twitter, I
Mhm.
mean, they're going to onboard their 500 million users into Web 3.0 without the users ever knowing or caring that blockchain is involved.
Yeah, there. You mentioned Reddit. I think that's a good point. I could see that being a very one of the more seamless transitions as well. Their founder was just at. We talked a little bit about Solana. You and I and Maddie and some of the people in your spaces. Their founder was just at the Solana conference a few weeks ago, I think. So they're definitely one of the ones that I would think of probably getting ahead of it, or maybe not ahead of it, but as far as the legacy companies or whatever, Web 2, for
Yeah.
sure. What do you envision is like? I envision like this multi-chain world that we have right now, where in another decade there's probably 5 or 10 very, very, maybe 5 or 10 chains hold the majority of the market cap or have the majority of the market cap, and then we still have a lot of projects that are trying to get there, and then these communicate through oracles and such. And we have sort of like this seamless thing where you don't really even know what chain you're using. Is that sort of what you envision, or do you envision Ethereum winning out? Because I know decentralization is important to you too. It's very important to me. But how do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, we're right now elbows deep in GameFi. And the reason for this is because we see this as kind of the government has failed in a big way at delivering on universal basic income. Uh, you know, they transitioned to socialism, but didn't really they didn't really get the way that universal basic income should work, and it does work. And I believe that within the next few decades, we will get to a point where technology has progressed sufficiently that we don't have to work anymore, right? So humans are I know that they've been, since the Irish factories were closed, been worrying about displacement by automation, but for the most part, until now, automation has brought more jobs and more advanced jobs than displaced people.
Right.
But we don't need to displace anyone because we can actually give them, sustenance. And let's say, when resources are plentiful, everybody will kind of have everything that they need anyways, right? So the question is then about the money. We get to, like the Star Trek economy where, they don't have any money anymore. They don't need it. It's just more about rank and respect. So the question is, how do we get from where we are now to there, and how do the transition period? And to me, this is going to be GameFi because of the sheer amount of energy, human energy that goes into playing mobile games or online games is just mind-boggling. And if we take Dogecoin as a microcosm of that, right, where Dogecoin's sole purpose is the meme economy, right, is monetizing memes or having a way that we can take memes, the energy, the man hours that people are putting into creating those memes, and then rewarding based on how funny they are. Basically, this is what the Dogecoin community is all about. It's basically a network of meme makers, and they're putting in their man hours, and those man hours then translate into value that we can then monetize as a coin. And if we can then say, okay, well, what about mobile games? Like, game over, right? We've just figured out an endless way of creating value for humankind for the next several decades.
That's super interesting. I hadn't thought of the gamify aspect like that at all. So what do you think about in this scenario, is everything basically are you holding non-fungible tokens, or what do you see? Is is this all? Are we getting? Is the end game still Bitcoin? Like, how do you see that? We're getting really deep here into like hypotheticals or like you know.
That's not a hypothetical. You're asking me about my portfolio, man.
Yeah, what do you
That's an
see there? What are
absolute.
you holding?
I
What
mean,
are you holding?
okay. At the moment, I would say I'm probably around 60% Bitcoin
Okay.
and 40% altcoins. I don't hold very much Ethereum, only as a way of, funding other things or leaving it in wallets and stuff like that to have ready, like loose change or whatever.
Right.
But I really love to find the hidden gems. I own all of the projects that I'm involved in, the ones that I advise on currently, the ones that I've advised on in the past. I hold absolutely projects that I support. I want to hold their coin. Things that I find interesting, I want to hold their coin. So I do spend a lot of time kind of like finding those gems, those diamonds in the rough, the ones that are extremely early stage that you can put in $10,000 and make $1 million on, and these things happen in the crypto world at a and I don't mind if a few of them go bust. Like, it's part of the thing. So we do our research. I've never knock on wood, I've never been rug pulled, ever gotten into one that was a complete scam before, even though that does happen quite often. So that's just about kind of asking the right questions and doing the right kind of research on the background of the project, who's creating, who's working on it, and stuff like that.
That was actually one of, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was actually one of my follow-ups. Is what is, I mean, without giving away your secret sauce, what is the in your opinion, maybe 2 or 3 most important characteristics you look at in a project? Obviously, it varies.
It depends. Yeah, it really depends on the project.
Right.
So the first thing that I want to do when approaching a new project is I want to listen. For the most part, a lot of the time, the people who are pitching me the project is either somebody who has vast knowledge about it already, or even a founder or somebody on the team, and that to me is an advantage that I have over many people who are playing at home. That I get to actually go in directly and speak with the people who know the most about it. So for me, whenever I approach a new project, this is really about listening. It's really about like soaking in, what does it do? That's always my first question. So what does the token do? What's the token's role within the ecosystem? Then there's the supply and demand. Where does the supply come from? Where does the demand come from? Make sure that those kind of even out, and then really about and then as they talk more, I'll interrupt them directly with questions and make sure keep them on their toes, and based on the answers, based on people, based on the level of confidence they have in what they're doing, because you can really read that a lot of the time. That's really, to me, I think the most important.
Yeah, all good answers, all good things. That's one of the most common questions that I get from new people coming into the space. They have no idea how to figure out what has value or utility or any of it. So, and then the tokenomics is like another thing that you have to have some grasp of economics already to really understand tokenomics. Like there's so many facets to crypto, and finding good projects. So it's definitely good to break it down.
Yeah, for me, and like I've done so much research on cryptocurrencies, on different projects. I've over the years through Etoro, and now on my team, I have people who are analysts and directors who that's what they do all day. So for us, it's like it's already kind of second nature. It is difficult. Like I'm happy to be completely transparent about it, about the process, but I don't think that I could properly articulate it. It's really just, I think, about listening, and then knowing the background, knowing where the market's at, and then asking the right questions. But honestly, you can't go too wrong, again, because when you're diversified like this, one winner, right, is enough to make up for 50 losers. So it doesn't really matter. if you do get rugged, once or twice, or if you lose your password or those type of things are they're very trivial.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all had our bumps and bruises along the way in crypto. Maybe not rug pulls, but we've all learned a lot of valuable lessons. It's not nobody goes into this space and hits a home run every single time. So it's just important for people to realize that. What are your thoughts on the crypto punk and we're talking a little bit about NFTs and stuff like. What do you think? Where do you see them if we go? First off, I'm not so sure that we're going to end the cycles. I'm not a end of cycle theorist or whatever you want to call it. I still think we're probably going to have cycles at some level, at least one more, in my opinion. But I can't determine now. The market is telling us right now that maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of feels like maybe we still get at least one more before we break away from the maybe Bitcoin completely dominating the macro. But what do you think about crypto punks and things like worth over $1 million NFT? Where do they go in the bear market?
Yeah, that is a good question. And as far as the cycles are concerned, and I don't know if you had a chance to read today's newsletter. It went out about 2 hours ago. I'm writing a newsletter for Quantum Economics Monday through Wednesday, and this is exactly what I wrote about. Was actually the cycles. People always miscalculate. They think that it revolves around Bitcoin's halving, but it really has nothing to do with Bitcoin's having. I believe that's quite coincidental. There is some element that says when there's more scarcity, sure, but to me, the bigger factor here is the Fed and the amount of money that they're pouring into the economy, because that's the origin of money. And the research that we've done shows a direct correlation of when the Fed is printing heavily, Bitcoin goes up, and when they're pulling back the stimulus, Bitcoin gets extremely volatile, and that's what happened basically every time the Bitcoin's gone down. And we do need to be worried right now because the Fed is making very, very quick moves to reduce stimulus. So I would say if that theory holds true, we are in for some turbulence ahead, especially in the stock market, but also very likely in the crypto market. But we'll see. I mean, there's just so much. There's so much. The thing that's different here is there's just so much. Even if they pull back stimulus, there's just tons of money in the system already that wants to go to work. I mean, I speak with VCs on a regular basis, or it's like, what are you working on? How can I fund it? And which is great to see that kind of enthusiasm. It just shows that there's so much money out there that's still unallocated and wants to go to work. And then the other thing about it is the mantra of the new wave investors and all of these retailers who've come in. Certainly, a lot of them are green and they've never had to hodl through a bear market, right. But they have had the diamond hands mantra plugged into their brain, so at least they know what the right thing to do is, even without having to learn that the hard way, I believe. So I think that at least this way we're different. To answer the question about NFTs and the crazy prices, and I don't know personally. So there was a digital yacht on Sandbox that sold for $650,000. Now, first of all, I cannot wrap my head around this. I don't understand why anybody in their right mind would want to spend that much money on a digital yacht. But on the other hand, I don't understand why anybody would want to buy a real yacht either. I don't understand what would motivate somebody to spend that much money on something that they're going to have to continue spending money on over time. Maybe it's a status symbol or whatever. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I can answer for, are the NFTs that I've personally bought, right? And those, to me, and you can kind of see it in my wallet, a lot of them, they're some of them, even in the beginning, they were mostly, they had my face on them, right? They're like a project that I worked on with somebody, and they minted an NFT about a speaker that was at the conference, or somebody doing a series of famous people in blockchain or whatever. So a lot of the first ones that I collected, they were very cheap, of course, because who wants to spend money on my bald head? But I was able to gather them into one wallet. And then after that, I started, I had this foundation of the technology. I started playing around with it and what else what else matters to me? What else do I want, to actually own a digital copy of? There was a chess piece that I saw Vitalik Buterin owned, a White Knight, and then I said, okay, I'm going to buy that one from Vitalik, and I'm like, no, wait a second, that series has 20 in it. Only 2 have been minted. I'm gonna go get number 3. So that I put in my wallet, and then
You managed to get that one?
yeah, I mean it's like literally, there's another 17 on the market, so like it wasn't difficult. I paid $250 plus gas, so $300. So would I normally spend $300 on a photo? Like, probably not. Maybe a painting, I suppose. But honestly, I wasn't really thinking about it as the dollar amount. I was just thinking, hey, that'd be cool to add to my wallet, and oh, I have that in this wallet here. Click of a few buttons, and that was like really the purchase decision.
Right.
I minted a few Woman Rise NFTs. I opened them with my daughters. That was like really, really exciting, because there was like the minting process where they would like there was like a GIF of them flashing. What are we gonna get? What are we gonna get? And then with a waiting period, and then we were going back and checking them, and then we see what we got. And one of my daughters put one of them as her WhatsApp profile. So that was
cool.
pretty cool. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So there's like that's my understanding of it. And then I suppose that there are just people who they've made so much money in crypto already, like so much, that they're willing to spend $1 million because they're already billionaires. So who gives a fuck? Just like it's only $1 million, and they're not parting with the $1 million as much as they're acquiring an asset that's worth $1 million. So they're not actually spending the money, right? They're just transferring its existence from one store of value to another store of value, which they believe, over time is going to remain somewhat on the level, and they get to own that piece of it. So if somebody's got $1 million, I wouldn't say, hey, go buy a CryptoPunk, because like that's not a good diversified investment. But if somebody's sitting on billions, like it's like really, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's fascinating. It's the experiment, and just like the idea of like subjective value theory and all these economic things we're kind of seeing. It's like this whole space is like a beautiful experiment for the free market. And just you mentioned Milton Friedman, but like the Austrian school and things like that. It's just super interesting to me. Like I didn't think we would ever. I found Bitcoin early, but it was very much still. We thought it would be shut down, or or at least we thought that there was a high probability that in the beginning it would be shut down. And now we're living out this like free market, it just doesn't even seem real to me still sometimes. I have a hard time believing it. I don't know. Do you still have that kind of feeling?
No, man, I get excited every day, and I realize that there can be turbulence in the market. Some of the projects that I invest in will go to zero, and that's fine. But every day we're out there on the Twitter Spaces, and I get to write my newsletter, and we're meeting new people, and people have interesting, crazy ideas. Just today, I spoke with these kids in college who are doing it purely for fun. They started a project called Saints DAO, where it's just, and I love his pitch too. He says like, well, because of blockchain, we now have the ability to create crazy, wacky monetary experiments. And then he explains to me that everybody gets to choose if they want to be a sinner or a saint. And then, if the Saints win at the end of the 108 days, then they get to keep all the money. And if the sinners win, they get to keep all the money. If the Saints win, they get to donate it to a DAO that'll go to charity or something like that. And I'm like, this is what kids are dreaming up in their spare time for fun, man. And then we speak with like 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds who are like creating NFT series. Like, if even just like 1% of the amazing ideas end up coming to fruition and making it over the next 10, we'll be looking at, just even in just 5 years time, a completely different world. We're living through a digital renaissance right now.
I agree with you. The potential value unlock that we're going to see in the next decade is unbelievable. I love to see it too. Just a couple more for you. It's getting late there. I appreciate your time, like I said, and I don't want to keep you on here too long. When do you think Bitcoin surpasses gold's market cap in the next 5 years? It's 10 trillion, I think, roughly. People 10, 12 trillion. People say something like that. Where are we at? What is Bitcoin's exact? We're at like 1.08 trillion right now.
Yeah, the fact that we're not even close is mind-boggling, honestly. The way that people treat investments these days, like nobody's really interested in gold. I mean, I like to buy gold because, I want just in case the internet goes down or whatever one day. I don't know, you have something physical in your hand, or I don't know if who knows, but it's very clear that Bitcoin is superior, and it's clear that the public already understands, general public already understands this. So it's pretty interesting that it hasn't happened yet, and I think it just goes to show us how early we are.
Okay, just a couple more here. Just follow up here. Do you see central banks? We already seen, some of these countries getting interested in Bitcoin. What is the United States? Will the United States ever hold Bitcoin? What do you think? I mean, these are loaded questions. So, yeah.
Oh, 100%. It's not even a question. The question is when, not if. There will be a central bank arms race for Bitcoin, just as there was central bank arms race for gold. It's inevitable.
Do you think it might be happening right now?
Very minutely, and I think that more what we're seeing is the billionaires, like the Tim Cook, that revelation was like blew my mind the other day. Like, yeah, if you're a billionaire, you don't want to be holding dollars. You understand this, so and you want to play with it. So, I think that is so. For example, you'd ask about Russia, right? Like, is Russia's central bank holding Bitcoin? Probably not, but Putin is, right? Like, so just the way that these type of things work. I mean, once one central bank makes it public that they're putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, it's game over for the rest of them, because then there's kind of a global FOMO that comes in.
You can see the dominoes falling certainly right now. So I love thinking about how this stuff's going to play out. We've already seen a lot in the last 10 years. The last one, man, and I hope I get to talk to you again on here sometime. Thanks for staying up. I know the kids are up anyways, but thanks for staying up. Give me a little bit of your time. Tell them I said thanks too. Last one. I think I already know, but I always ask everybody this at the end. What does Bitcoin mean to you?
Above all, I would say opportunity. I mean, both personal and on a macro level for humankind.
I love it. Personal and macroeconomic growth, right? For everybody. So
it's opportunity for everyone.
Perfect way to close this one out. You have a good night. Enjoy the holidays with your family.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming on the show today. Mr. Matty Greenspan, would you like to drop your links here? Any other thing you want to say here before we go?
Yeah, Twitter at Matty Greenspan, LinkedIn for those of you who still use that platform, and then sign up for the newsletter, quantumeconomics.io.
Thanks for coming on today, sir. Hang on one second. I'll say a proper goodbye.
I'm here.